stop what still works for us when we're not yet ready for the alternative. You don't forfeit your ladder just because you admire the rooftop. If a nation must rise, do we abandon the very pillar that still holds it upright? Today's motion proposes that Nigeria should stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. But I ask, do we burn the bridge that brought us here while the new road is still under construction? With this, I bid a good day to the organizers, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debater, and dear Nigerians. My name is Silver Peter from Government Science Secondary School, Maitama, Abuja, and I stand to strongly oppose the motion that says Nigeria should stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. And with the following point of mine, I start to argue. Oil keeps Nigeria's economy stable. Nigeria derives roughly 60 to 70% of its federal government revenue and over 90% of its export earnings from petroleum exports. An abrupt cessation of oil would unravel critical fiscal buffers, precipitating currency devaluation, soaring inflation, and collapsing budgetary allocation in health, education, and security. More so, Nigeria's renewable energy is still marginal. Despite ambitious targets, Nigeria utility-scale solar wind installation amount to a few dozen megawatts, less than 1% of its peak demand, which hovers around 12,000 megawatts. Until grid-connected renewables reliably supply baseload power, a large-scale shutdown of oil is infeasible. Next, no immediate substitute for oil in heavy industries. Petrochemicals, cement manufacturing, and steel production rely on petroleum-based feedstocks and continuous high-heat processes technologies, for which renewable-driven alternatives like green hydrogen remain at pilot stage globally. Additionally, stopping oil will cripple public services, with oil contributing more than 70% of federal government allocation. Halting exploration will force draconian budget cuts, teachers' salaries delayed, hospitals' equipment procurement frozen, and Abuja's mass transit incomplete. Such a fiscal void cannot be bridged by carbon credits and concessional loans overnight. Furthermore, the world needs oil and Nigeria will profit. Even as advanced economies decarbonize, emerging markets in South Africa and Asia will import oil for decades, and Nigeria, with its low lifting costs, is well positioned to maintain its reserves, fund the gradual transition, and invest financial windfalls in renewables. Another crucial point to consider is that oil pays Nigeria's debt and supports the naira. Nigeria's external debt obligation, which hovers around 40 billion US dollars, must be met in hard currency, and oil earnings underpins foreign exchange reserves that stabilize the naira and keep bond yields from spiking. Losing such a stream risks sovereign debt crisis. Moving on, renewable energy require huge startup costs. Building gigawatt-scale solar farms, repairing pipelines for green hydrogen, and erecting wind farms require investment in tens of billions of dollars. And without accumulated rents and massive concessional loans, Nigeria cannot underwrite this capital outlay alone. Also, we don't have enough experts or technology yet. Nigeria's renewable energy is nascent, as there are fewer than 200 certified renewable energy engineers, and many critical components like PV modules, wind turbines, and storage inverters must be imported. A rapid pivot would exacerbate technological dependency and drive up import bills. Ultimately, oil gives us strategic energy security. Over-reliance on imported solar panels and foreign EPC contractors for wind projects exchange one form of dependence for another. In contrast, maintaining oil exploration preserves indigenous value in drilling, refining, and distribution. Thank you.
Standing on existing protocol, I am Maitama Benedict, still representing Government Science Secondary School, Maitama, and to give credence to this topic of discourse, I am here to rebut some of the points my opponents may likely make. First, they may choose to say that oil is a cause, but in actuality, oil makes for over 80% of Nigeria's foreign revenue and funds most of our infrastructure. The United Delta's position is tragic, but it's due to corruption and poor regulation, not oil. We must fix our systems, not abandon our main income source. They claim Nigeria has solar and wind potential, but potential doesn't power Lagos. In Nigeria today, oil and gas make for over 80% of our electricity, and over 14 solar projects have crashed over the past 5 years. Clearly, Nigeria does not have the structure to run on solar alone. They say 700,000 green jobs by 2050, but that's a projection, not a guarantee. The oil and gas sector makes for over 2 million direct and indirect Nigerian jobs, and we can't gamble the livelihoods of our Nigerians on a sector we haven't fully built or developed yet. They claim that Nigeria spends 29 trillion naira on generators yearly. That may sound true, but due to a weak national grid system, not because we lack solar. A basic home solar system costs 2 to 5 million naira, a cost most Nigerian families can't afford. We must strengthen what we have, not abandon it. They may also say that the world is moving on from oil. But oil demand is projected to remain steady till at least 2050, especially in aviation and manufacturing. Countries like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates have continuously drilled oil while investing in solar. Why? Because smart nations transition, not crash out. They may also say that oil kills the environment, but let's be real, climate justice means lifting people out of poverty. In Nigeria today, millions still use firewood to cook. If we must fund renewables, oil must remain in the picture. Oil must fund the future, not be scrapped. They may also say that foreign investors are pulling out, but in actuality, oil and gas poured in $5 billion in investors in 2023, and at the same time, the 90 billion Dangote refinery has just been launched, Africa's biggest oil project. Clearly, oil still holds its value. Oil isn't the enemy, mismanagement is. Let's reform, not remove oil. Let oil and renewables work together to fund and build Nigeria's energy sector's future. To close up my rebuttal, I leave my opponents with this. I once met a woman in the dusty parts of northern Nigeria. She boiled water over cooking gas, and her children read with a kerosene lamp. She had heard of solar, but when I told her the price, she laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it sounded impossible. Now, how do I tell that woman to wait for panels that she can't afford and take away the only fuel that keeps her family warm? My opponents may say, let's stop oil, let's go green. But oil isn't something we can refuse. Oil is our engine. Oil funds our hospitals, our education, our security. Oil is the lifeblood of our nation. So I leave my opponents with this question. Should we throw away what works for us now, just because we hope something else might work later? Thank you.
Still representing Government Science Secondary School Maitama, Abuja, I am Amale Christine. And to add to what my second speaker has said, for a moment, let me ask a hard but honest question. What happens if Nigeria stops exploring oil? No more oil revenue, but yet that same oil builds about 70% of our national budget. No more foreign exchange, but yet that same oil brings about 90% of our exports earnings. How do we build roads? How do we invest in the educational sector? How do we invest in hospitals? How do we power the renewables my opponents passionately recommend? Let's talk about renewables. Yes, Nigeria is blessed with sunshine. It is blessed with wind. But over 85 million Nigerians are still in darkness. We cannot rely on renewables because we don't have the power to depend on it. Meanwhile, oil and gas have been boosting Nigeria's economy over the years. Foreign investors are pumping money into the oil sector. Why? Because they understand the assets we risk forgetting. Now, some may say that the world is moving on, but yes, the world is moving on, but with strategy, not desperation. Countries like Saudi Arabia and UAE are still exploring in oil. Why? Because wise nations do not destroy the foundations that built them, they build upon them. Fellow Nigerians, this is not just about oil. This is about our stability. This is about our economy. This is about the farmer who needs gas to fertilize his crops. This is about the students who use the kerosene lamp to read at night. This is about the millions of Nigerians whose livelihood depends on oil and the system it sustains. To draw to a close, I leave you with this. Fellow Nigerians, let us be wise. Let us be gradual. Let us reform and manage the oil that has been boosting our economy for years. For Nigeria, for the future, and for the people in this nation, I stand to strongly oppose this motion. Thank you. I remain Favor Peter from Government Science Secondary School, Maitama, Abuja. And in summary, if we stop oil today, what will fill the gap? No budget, no foreign exchange, just a collapsing map. 70% of our revenues gone with one world when millions of Nigerians still cry in the dark unheard. Yes, the sun shines and the wind blows free, but only hope won't power rural families. Solar costs millions, too steep a climb, while oil flows are present time. Giants of green, Saudi, UAE, still drifts beneath the sea. They know you don't till the root to grow the tree. You build your future carefully. So let's not act in haste or pride. Let oil and renewables work side by side. Let's reform it, not abandon it. Be bold, not blind. And I leave you with this question. Would you break your only bridge while you're still at middle? Thank you.
Good day, impartial panel of judges and my esteemed viewers. Representing Government Girls Science Secondary School, I, Okam Esther, as the chief speaker from the opposing side, stands before you to argue strongly on the motion that says Nigeria should stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. Ladies and gentlemen, let's face reality. We all know that oil is the backbone of Nigeria's economy. From time immemorial, Nigeria has explored and used oil to the best of its ability. Over 90% of our foreign exchange earnings and a significant amount of about 70% of our national income revenue comes from the oil sector. To say we throw away oil revenue is like asking a man to throw away his only source of income without a solid alternative. Besides, if we stop the oil revenue, what do we replace that sector with? Renewables? I doubt. Moving on, oil revenue provides millions of jobs directly or indirectly, from local constructors to engineers, marketers, geologists, most especially drivers and security workers rely solely on this particular sector. In fact, countless families depend on this sector. Therefore, stopping oil exploration will not only lead to massive job loss, but will also increase poverty and destabilize our already fragile economy. Listen, I know my opponents may say that renewable energies are the futures and that we must invest in it, correct? But if you permit me, let's be realistic. Even global powers like United States, Germany, China, some European and Asian countries still solely rely, explore and use oil. Why then should Nigeria, a developing country and one who have oil in surplus, suddenly throw away its major economic driver and give it up prematurely? Moreover, renewable energy technologies like solar panel, wind turbines, and hydro systems require high capital investment, a stable government policy, and a maintenance structure which Nigeria is yet to fully develop. Besides all these necessities that this technology needs to function properly, they are way expensive. If you permit me, my honorable panel, to ask a question, can an average Nigerian man, under the influence and pressure of our present economic imbalance, be able to install a proper solar panel? I doubt that, my lord, because they are way expensive and they also require foreign expertise, which Nigeria is yet to get. In fact, rural areas still struggle to maintain balanced power supply, not to talk of the infrastructure to support renewable energy. I mean, a country cannot throw away what it has before securing what it wants. If you ask me, I would say Nigeria should continue to explore oil till we get to a better height, then gradually transit to renewables, because stopping oil exploration now will only lead to hardship, economic collapse, and national instability. I rest my case.
Standing on the already existing protocols, I go by the name of Betche Diamond, and I'm here to oppose the motion which says that Nigeria should not stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. The debate on whether Nigeria should shift its focus from oil exploration to renewable energy is multifaceted, involving economic, environmental, and social consideration. Here is the balanced exploration for this proposition. Economic dependency. Nigeria economic is heavily reliant on oil revenues. An abrupt halt to oil exploration could disrupt these sectors. Energy demand. Oil remains a primary energy source to many Nigerians, particularly for transportation and industrial uses. A rapid transition into renewable energy could disrupt these sectors. Employment and skills. Oil industry employs thousands of Nigerians, indirectly and directly. A rapid transition into renewable energy could cause job losses. In addition, oil exploration is usually carried out by oil industries using advanced technologies such as drilling and logical technologies, geophysical and geological technologies, which can help in the production of oil to serve as many Nigerians that need oil. In conclusion, oil exploration has a goal to discover new oil and gas reserves, which can help meet the global existing demand. I hope with these few points of ours, we have been able to make you see reasons why Nigeria should not stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. Thank you.
Hello, judges and my esteemed viewers. My name is Ibia Precious, and I'm presenting Government Girls Science Secondary School, Kuje. I'm here to support the motion which says Nigeria should not stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. To start with, Nigeria's economy of today is highly dependent on oil prices, which account for around 95% of government revenue, 65% of foreign exchange, and 95% of exchange earnings in the country. Furthermore, the infrastructure for export earnings and production is already in place. Transitioning to renewable energy requires substantial upfront and investment in new technologies. Moreover, renewable energy is expensive and hard to maintain. Take, for instance, Nigeria passed a budget of 10 billion naira just for the installation of solar in the presidential villa. If you ask me, isn't that preposterous? Shouldn't that amount of money be used for the growth and development of this great country? I know my opponent might say that with the discontinuation of oil exploration and much more focus on renewable energy, Nigeria stands a risk of being exploited and deprived by other white and South African countries who may want to tap from the wealth and revenue this exploration may bring about. But let me tell you, if Nigeria will stop partaking in oil exploration, there will be a high level of crime and unemployment in the country. I rest my case.
Under the wings of everything that we've said, I hope we've been able to shed more light on reasons why Nigeria should not stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. If at all we are to stop oil exploration, let us do it gradually and not suddenly. Let's continue to diversify our economy and explore other opportunities that we have with oil exploration. Thanks for watching.